There's some hard truths about building an online business that most people don't want to speak about. The game is a lot harder than a lot of people think. And in this video, what I'm going to do is dissect a couple of things that have been really key lessons for me in growing my business over the last sort of 14 plus years that have been online. So, for context, I got started in affiliate marketing way back in 2011. Since that time, I've got on to sell millions of dollars worth of products, services, coaching, all sorts of stuff online. I won awards that you can see behind me there. And I really just wanted to dissect some of the stuff that's out there. I feel like with the age of AI and different things coming about, a lot of the way that the online marketing game gets sold is just like passive income, do no work, sell a billion PDFs in your sleep, all that type of stuff. And hopefully everyone understands that it takes a shitload more work than that in order to build a successful business, whether it is on or offline. And I wanted to dissect some of that stuff in this video today. So if you and I haven't met before, like I say, my name is Jamie Gardner. Been online for many, many years. And hopefully in this channel, what I'm going to do is really just talking about what I'm doing in my business and some of the things that I've seen out there, hopefully helping to cut through some of the BS that's out there. If that's of interest, I'd love to have your support. Feel free to hit the subscribe button, drop a like and comment, and let's rock and roll. So this is the stuff that you won't find in the highlight reels on the Instagram captions, things like that. And I wanted to put this together for folks that are maybe 6 months into their journey, maybe 3 months, maybe 10 years into their journey. And they're kind of on the cusp of like, should I even be doing this stuff anymore? Like, it just feels weird. Nothing's working the way that I want it to. And so the very first thing to understand when it comes to this entire game is that it's going to take way longer than you think. Okay. And so what happens is when we go into online marketing world and we are seeing all these results, sometimes folks have screenshots and there are outliers, there are results out there that people are getting that are absolutely crazy. Like 0 to 10K in 49 days is one of my students got that. There's other ones that have surpassed 10K with having less than 100 people in their community. Had other students that have gone on to surpass over 2.4 million in their second year of business through some of the content strategies that I've been able to give them. So you've got these types of outlier results that we as marketers talk about because we are marketers, okay? And so the thing to bear in mind is part of our ego will hear these types of results that are out there and they will think, well, I'm a hard worker. I can concentrate. I can do the thing. I'm really dedicated to this. I'm tired of my life the way it is, and I just want these results. And the reality is somewhat different. I don't think a lot of people really fully encapsulate how hard the journey is along the way. Now, I don't want to be the bearer of doom and gloom. Like if you've stumbled upon this video and you're thinking, I just want to get into online marketing, make a couple of $100 per day, per week, whatever it is. How hard is the journey going to be? When can I start making money? I completely get that this might be shattering a few dreams, but I really just wanted to be upfront with some of the things that are out there. So I hope this is going to help. So first and foremost, know that no matter how long you've been doing this game, and say if, for example, the results that you want are not showing up at the speed that you want, you're not broken, right? It's not like the issue is 100% with you. Now, I will put a little caveat on that one and say that if you're someone who has jumped from coach to coach to coach to coach to coach to program to program to program to program, and you haven't been able to activate any of them, then sometimes you do need a bit of introspection and think, okay, maybe the problem isn't actually with my bad coaches the entire way. Maybe there's something that I'm doing or something I'm projecting. Absent of that for everyone else, if you have followed the strategies and you've done the thing, it's likely it's just that you haven't built up enough equity within your own audience and within your own business at this point. And that's usually all it is, right? The other thing is most success stories online are highlight reels, right? Like it's very, very rare that you see people putting up like, oh my God, I had such a shitty day today. Life is crap. And if you do, then what tends to happen is we energetically don't align with that as a vast generalization. So what we do is we kind of shy away from that type of content anyway. So the people that are being really raw with it, it's like, oh, I don't really want to be around unhappy people because if it's like that old saying, if you hang out with 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth one. And likewise, if you hang out with 5 depressed people, you probably end up being the sixth one, right? So we tend to navigate away from that type of content anyway. But yeah, it is a thing where there's no context around those highlight reels. We just see this person, like I said, made 10 grand in 49 days starting from scratch. What is not spoken about is the fact that I happen to know the student of mine. He absolutely crushed it, like I say. But he was working like crazy hours. He was really, really hyper focused. He was so dedicated to this thing. He just got home from his stressful day job, and then he was working into the early hours of the night to make it all happen, right? So he was in a state where he was ultra focused and ultra dedicated, very, very rare, and for most people at least anyway. They say it takes 10 years to become an overnight success, and they're not wrong when it comes to that, right? So for me, it took 7.5 years. So between 2011 and 2019 ish, I was really struggling as an affiliate. I tried blogging, I tried CPA marketing, I tried e-commerce, I tried setting up an agency. I did actually have some success with my agency. I did end up making over six figures with my agency, but it all came crashing down towards the end of 2018. And then I pivoted into affiliate marketing full time. And again, I just really sucked at it. Like I started making a little bit of cash, but it was nowhere near enough to pay my bills. And I was broke yet again for the umpteenth time in my life. And then something clicked into place late 2019, sort of 23rd, 24th of October 2019. And quite literally, there was a 7-day patch where I deployed a particular process that I've spoken about recently in a virtual event where this virtual event, we ended up doing 53 grand with it, which was really cool. But when I first started deploying that, it was because I basically did a Facebook Live in my group, and then I ended up booking a sales call off the back of that and sold my very first high ticket thing, right? So it took me 7.5 years to have my very first $1,000 a day online. And yeah, it was crazy, right? So play the long game and detach from needing the results to show up immediately, and just play the long game. That would be my advice when it comes to that stuff. The other thing is, look, you'll fail, you'll cry at times. Not that I want to admit that publicly, but now I've said it on record, so there you go. Fuck it, who cares? You'll question your sanity, and this is something else I really want to put out there as well. It's like that part of your brain doesn't stop just because you've had some level of success. So, like I say, I've sold millions of dollars worth of product services, coaching, blah blah blah, on and offline. And then even at the stage when I'm 14 slash nearly 15 years into my journey or whatever it is, I'm kind of looking at it going, holy shitballs, I still have mindset issues. I still have things that I doubt myself with. I still have things that are not working the way I want. The scalability isn't there the way that I want at this particular junction. And so it's that old saying of new levels, new devils, right? So basically, as you ascend, you end up unlocking certain parts of your mindset, and then you'll find that there's actually new things popping up that you didn't even know existed before. So it is a journey, right? Like, understand that it is a journey. It's about activating certain things and doing certain tasks, but overall, it is basically a mental journey that you go on in order to basically become an entrepreneur. So some things that have worked for me and haven't worked for me, I've had very successful launches. I've had very unsuccessful launches. I've had multiple products that I thought, this is the bee's knees. Everyone's going to freaking love this thing. It's going to be amazing. And then when I go to launch, guess what happens? Fucking crickets. And I'm like, holy crap, what have I done here? And a lot of the time I was putting my own identity wrapping up around a product. So if it was flopping, I was like, oh my God, I'm such a bad marketer. I've done something bad. And it's just part of the game, right? Like, sometimes you go and do something, and sometimes the tiniest little tweaks, the tiniest little things that you adjust is what sets it apart. Then starts getting results. It's like when going back to my very first $1,000 day that I mentioned. I was just kind of like throwing out offers like this, like, okay, I've got this thing, you should buy. Here's a billion bonuses for it. Please buy my shit. And then eventually, when I got hyper focused, I focused on a high ticket offer, paid $1,000 plus. I had a very simple mechanism, which was do a Facebook Live, put out a Facebook post, get in front of my people, and then look for the metaphorical hand raisers, bridge over to the DMs, offered to take me through a presentation on a call, and then sell some stuff, basically. And so it was really, really streamlined, all regarding my Facebook group. And once I got rid of all this bullshit clutter out of the way, that's when things started really taking off and working, which is kind of cool. But even now, sometimes I'll do a launch and it doesn't quite meet the expectations that I had. Sometimes I'll put out a post and I'm 5 hours down the track and I get one like. Sometimes I get 0 likes and I'm like, holy shit, did I miss the mark on this one? The thing to bear in mind is that this is going to happen, right? It is categorically going to happen. And if you play the game long enough, it will happen more and more, and you become immune to it. And you kind of don't really mind. You're just like, okay, well, what can we tweak here? And so it doesn't mean that you're not cut out for this game or anything like that. It just means that you are playing. You're in the arena, which is kind of cool, right? You're actually you're putting some skin in the game, so to speak. The other thing is it's to view it and reframe this in your mind as well. And I know that's a bit of an oxymoron because said you'll fail, blah blah. But you got to adjust the way that you view failure as well. I used to take it on like it was some sort of negative badge of honor, and I'd be like, I'm a failure, and like even using terms like that where it's like I'm a failure, like my whole life is a failure because this one thing that I was trying to do didn't pan out the way that I thought it was going to, right? And so instead of like looking at it going, okay, well it's just a big Rubik's cube, I just need to figure out the code to get it to work, or a cipher or whatever, right? Instead of looking at it like that, which is how I advise my students and yourself, if you're watching this, you need to look at it as a big experiment. And if you're going into an experiment, the chances are that it's going to fail. Typically, you will just find out information on the back of it. And then if it passes the experiment, then guess what? You've got something like a winning formula. And then you can refine that. And then sometimes that stops working after a while because you realize that the market's now saturated with that thing that you were doing, so to speak. And so if you reshape it going, well, I'm not a failure. The thing that I tried to do didn't go according to plan. And then when you start to reframe that and you start to look at your failures and whatnot as just that, just an experiment, and it's just something that didn't work, and now I've got some data, and the data basically told me that the audience isn't interested in that particular thing I was promoting, or maybe it's just a better angle that I can put on it, whatever it is, right? And once you detach yourself and your sense of identity from I'm a fucking failure, then good things start happening because you go into these things without fear. And I can categorically tell you that when you are fearless, you become a magnet for your right people. They will find you. They will enter your Facebook group. They will click on links in the description of your YouTube videos. They will find their way onto your email address. They will communicate with you. They want to absorb more of your content because they know that you are leading from a place right here. Which is a bit of a tangent, I know, but anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. So another one, vanity metrics don't mean anything at all. I've got this saying, which is likes aren't loot, that I tell my students all the time. So what I've found is that so many folks out there have astronomically large audiences, and I'm talking, 100,000 followers, 500,000 followers, et cetera, et cetera. And when you know the metrics behind how much cash they're making, it is depressing. And it's like, holy crap, you put all that energy into building this amazing audience, but you're not really tapping into the true potential of it, right? And it's crazy, which is why I'm such a massive fan of the fundamentals of this game. So offer creation, sales, marketing, branding, keeping your mindset in a good place, things like that, because these are the things, in spite of AI, in spite of all the things and the advances that we're going to see over the coming years, in my opinion, these aren't things that are going to change. And these are things that have been solid for the last billion years, or whatever it is, right? I don't think they're going to go anywhere. I think they're going to revise, and I think people are going to become savvier as far as shopping and consumer behavior is concerned. But that's basically been the major change. But that's the thing, right? Like if you've got 100,000 followers and you're making like $1,000 or 10 grand per month, there's a disconnect there. There's something very, very wrong with that picture. You should be making significantly more. And so this is why, like I say, I'm a massive fan of, hammering the fundamentals to my students inside my Monetise Your Tribe program as well, which is what I teach there every week. So, but the other one is likes don't equate to leads either, right? So I've seen folks that have 200-300 comments on their Facebook post, for argument's sake, or on their Instagram, and that doesn't necessarily mean that every single one of those people is an actual lead. A lot of the time, they're just engaging for the sake of engaging. And whilst the vanity metrics might look good, and there is some argument around social proof and things like that as well, they're not going to feed you basically a lot of the time. And so, like I say, you need to kind of work on that and work on those fundamentals. So I personally, and this is why, sorry, talking all over the place at the moment. It's been a long day. But I personally would rather have an engaged audience of 100 people that buy my stuff and make me a good 5-10K a month than have 10,000 followers where I don't make hardly anything at all, right? Burnout is real. I found myself very, very burnt out sort of last year. And I kind of had a mental breakdown, and it was pretty shit, to be honest. Like I just stopped caring about what I was doing, caring about life generally speaking, and it was hard to dig my way out of it. And I lost my love for coaching. And even though I'd had some success and I'd had 900 plus students, whatever it is, many of whom have gone on to do some really, really cool things as well. It was hard. And then I found that I was burning the candle at both ends. I was like giving, giving, giving. I just wasn't getting what I needed back. And a lot of that was my fault. I just didn't have the right boundaries in place. I let some trolls get inside my mind as well, which was, yeah, kind of crazy. And it happens, right? Like people just leaving nasty comments or hammering your inbox or whatever it is, right? Or some people just, they're condescending. They just hammer you with this condescending attitude. And I'm sure I'll get this. I guarantee I'll post this video up. And I guarantee I'll end up with not one, not two, but at least 3 people that will email me saying, hey, your content's great, but it could be better. And it's shit. And this is why you need to buy my services, right? So when you're dealing with this stuff en masse over a very long time, it can really burn you out. And so one thing that really burnt me out as well was just the hustle and grind culture of a lot of this industry. And don't get me wrong, you're going to have to work your tail off a lot. In fact, the most successful people I know work the hardest. And sure, you can engineer things to have like a 3 or 4 day week and whatnot, that's fine. But a lot of the time during those 3 or 4 days, it's like it's a big day and you're thinking about things. And even when you're not actively working on your business, you're still thinking about things, still writing, still like helping out your students, whatever it is, right? So it's a little bit different. The cool thing is you don't need to be on 24/7 to win at this game as well. Like you can engineer certain things to work in a very specific way. And so one of which that I've built in my own business is I've got email follow-ups, I've got automations, I've got things that will automatically DM people, things like that as well. So, there's all that type of stuff that you can have, which will help to minimize the impact of you doing everything yourself, right? Which is why, I love having an email list because it's one of the few traffic sources you ever truly own as well. And no one really talks about the detours. And so one of the reasons why it took me so long to find success online was because I kept taking detours instead of going, oh my God, I brought this new system, this thing, this sales page sold me this thing, and I'm like, it's amazing, blah, blah. I'm just going to keep doing this until it works. That should have been my attitude. But instead I was like, maybe I'll try this other thing. Maybe I'll try that other thing. And so every time guess what? I was doing a 90-degree turn or a 180-degree turn. And so if you've got momentum in one area and you bang, turn 90 degrees, it doesn't work. You roll the car typically. So, and you're going to get things like failed funnels. Like you're going to put all your heart and soul into building out a funnel and it's not going to work the way you thought it would. You're going to get people refunding and disputing, and you're going to put your heart and soul into helping people and they just will abuse your trust and they will overstep the boundaries. And it doesn't matter how many times you say, like, these are the boundaries, please do not cross them. They will. People are going to ghost your DMs. They're going to plagiarize your stuff. This happens a lot. They're going to pirate it. They're going to put it on pirated websites, all that type of stuff. It's going to happen if you want to become successful, right? And so you need to learn how to stay rigidly focused to the end goal, okay? And that the truth of the matter is most people in this online game are going to only show the polished stuff. That's the end result of the awards and the blah, 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 and all that shit along the way. But the messy middle is where the biggest internal growth comes from, right? And so I would encourage you, if you're watching this at this point, not to shy away from it, basically. I'd encourage you to step into it because you learn so much about yourself. It's just incredible, right? So the other thing as well is you can do everything right. Like you can have the perfect launch, you can have the best funnel builder, you can have the thing, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's an absolute flopsicle, and you're kind of going, how the fucking hell do I dig my way out of this one? And I've been there. Many of my students have been there as well. And again, coming back to my analogy before, it's like a Rubik's cube. You need to like keep figuring it out and working out why. And so sometimes this is why like hiring a mentor is so valuable. I put up a post recently. I've spent, I think it's $9,500 this year alone on different mentors for different things. And so, if I see someone and I like that person and they have a good offer, I don't hesitate to fucking in, because I know that if there's 2 things I can do. I can either give up the thing that I can never get back, which is time, or I can give up the thing which will replace itself many, 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 many times in our life, which is money, to get that knowledge and that closeness and that proximity. And so I would encourage you as well to hire mentors for this reason, because a lot of the time when we are in our own little bubble, our business, and we're kind of looking at things we can't see. It's like we can't see the forest for the trees. So we take that information, we give it to a mentor, they go, do that. And then you go away and you go, okay, cool, I'll let go of my ego enough to execute what they tell me. And then you execute, and then bang, you get the result. And you're like, okay, that was simple. And then you look back and you go, why didn't I think of that? It's such a dumb idea. Like, it's so obvious right in front of me. But again, you can't, because you're in it, right? And a lot of the time, you're literally just one tweak away from things. It could be that you're not getting a great opt-in rate in your pages, so you just need to update one letter, like literally just one letter, and bang, it will work. You need to update one color scheme, or one button color, or one pop-up, one tiny piece of information that you just can't see, or like you haven't thought about. Bang, all of a sudden it starts working, and you're off to the races. But the reality is that the people who win, and I'd like to include myself in that list as well, if I may, they just keep testing, tweaking, and they just keep going. They just like keep freaking going. Like, all the people that I know that are successful in the online marketing game in particular is that they just have a rigid level of stickability when it comes to this stuff. And I would like to include myself in that. Because I do just keep testing, keep going with things as well. And like I say, this is all going to happen, right? And the more you try to avoid this stuff, rather than just embracing it and leaning into it, the more you're probably going to end up attracting the stuff anyway, like if you're trying to avoid it. And I know this because that is exactly what I did for so many years. I just tried to avoid all the stuff. Like, I don't want to fail, right? So therefore, everything has to be bloody perfect before I do. But the reality was, I was just procrastinating. I wasn't really helping myself. I wasn't doing the things that are going to get bums on seats and money in my bank. I was just doing all the nice stuff. And I see that so much with many of my students as well. So anyway, look, bit of a random one for you guys today. Hopefully you got some benefit out of this. If you're interested in following my journey, feel free to hit subscribe. And there is a link below. It's going to lead you through to my Monetise Your Tribe group, and you're welcome to join that and see what I'm up to and all that type of stuff as well. But other than that, appreciate you guys. Drop a comment, let me know your thoughts, and can't wait to see you in the next one. Cheers.